Fei Lu Novel Network A.Level Contracted Novel. Harry Potter's Platinum Glory. At first, he crossed into the world of Hokage and became the Uchiha Itachi. However, before the plan to unify the ninja realm could be realized, he was secretly plotted into the chaos of space. Fortunately, with good luck, he was reborn into the world of Harry Potter with his Sharingan and became a descendant of the Black family. Let the glory that has not been achieved in the world of Hokage continue in this world. I will embark on the sacred and immortal journey under the name of Augustus. Plotline: Harry Potter. Pirates. Fairy tale, in progress. Fei Lu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 42. Is indeed good. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 42 is indeed good. They circled around these tree stumps several times before wrapping them up. They followed Augustus's instructions and tightly wrapped these tree stumps, not sure if this was considered wrapping up. Sage, do you think this is okay? They looked at Augustus in front of them and said, panting slightly. As they wrapped these tree branches together, Augustus felt that the strength in their hands was acceptable, and that they were wrapped in the way they are now. He looked at them and said, well, that's it. As Augustus finished speaking, he even touched these tree stumps, which were indeed very sturdy. Sage, what are you doing by wrapping these tree stumps with tree strips? Are you going to deal with something? Aren't we going to use these tree stumps to make a bed? They looked at Augustus with a curious expression on their face, completely unaware of what to do by getting entangled with this tree stump. As they frowned and looked puzzled, Augustus chuckled lightly as he watched them pick up the already sewn fur and lay it on the tree stump they had tied up. In an instant, an incredibly large bed appeared before their eyes. Is this a bed? One person among the human race looked at the bed in front of them in surprise and said, with a face that couldn't believe it. They quickly made the bed. Exactly. Augustus replied to him with just 2 words without saying anything. Sure enough, after knowing that the bed was ready so quickly, a burst of laughter instantly appeared on their faces, feeling that it was truly an exciting thing. Great, we've made the bed now. A few people in the human race excitedly looked at the people around them and said, with smiles on their faces. Alright, you can try lying down now and see how this bed looks. It's better than sleeping on a stone. Augustus looked at them excitedly and said, wanting them to try out the benefits of this new bed. Saints, can we lie down? After hearing Augustus' words, they looked at him with a surprised expression on their faces. They thought that Augustus had asked them to make this bed in the future, but they didn't expect to be able to lie down now. Their hearts were really a bit incredulous. Sure, this is the bed you made yourself, why can't you lie down and experience it? Augustus looked at them and said, pointing in the direction of the bed, indicating that they could lie down and experience it now. After seeing the gesture made by Augustus, they quickly leaned against the bed and looked at Augustus, saying, thank you, Saint. Then they all lay down one after another. Sure enough, after lying down, a comfortable feeling came layer by layer, which was not the feeling they could experience on the stone. This bed is really comfortable. Yeah, it's soft and warm. The human race lying in bed feels that this bed is really great, but much better than when they sleep on stones. As they finished speaking, Sharingan, lying on the side, let out a soft sigh and said, this bed is really comfortable. We used to sleep on rocks that were cold and hard, and we didn't even think about the night. It's really nice to have this bed now, so we don't have to worry about cold nights anymore. The words of the Sharingan clan have made many people feel that this is the truth. Indeed, when they slept on stones before, it was extremely cold and unbearable. Alright, you guys should sleep on this bed tonight. Tomorrow we're going to carry this bed into your newly built house, understand? Augustus saw that they had already finished cleaning up today, so he told them to rest quickly. Okay, Sage, we know now. When they heard Augustus say this, their hearts were very excited. They could rest well tonight and move into their newly built house tomorrow. Suddenly, a person lying on the side looked at Augustus and said, "Saint, won't you rest in bed?" He thought to himself, where would Augustus sleep if we build a new bed? Although the human race was concerned about Augustus, a light smile still appeared at the corner of Augustus's mouth. A person as powerful as him naturally had a comfortable place to sleep. You don't have to ask me, I naturally have a place to sleep. You should rest quickly. There will be a lot of things tomorrow. Augustus looked at them and said loudly, gesturing for them to rest quickly. Tomorrow's things are not as easy as they imagined. When they heard Augustus say these words, they naturally didn't dare to say anything else. They looked at Augustus and said, "Good saint, we must rest well tonight. We will finish the work tomorrow." After watching Augustus carefully finish this sentence, they didn't say anything else. Chapter 242. Hogwarts Offensive and Defensive Warfare. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The Death Eaters held their wands in their hands and roared wildly towards Hogwarts, but when they touched the protective barrier set up by Augustus, their bodies instantly ignited a raging fire, instantly turning into a pile of ashes. The Death Eaters in front wanted to stop, but the Death Eaters behind were still charging forward, colliding back and forth in chaos. As a result, many Death Eaters were either killed by barriers or died from trampling on each other. Rita Skeeter looked at everything in front of her and couldn't help but tremble with fear. It was the first time she had seen such a massive casualties. Finally, the Death Eaters stopped in front of the barrier. Dare not take another step forward. I can only glare at Hogwarts through the barrier and cannot take a step forward. What should we do, Master? Mutu and Count Dracula saw this scene, and they both understood that if we didn't destroy this defense barrier, attacking Hogwarts could be considered a pipe dream. Voldemort, referred to directly as Augustus in this chapter to distinguish between puppets and beings, did not answer Mutu and Count Dracula's question. He waved his wand and a huge wave of light sliced through the sky, crashing into the protective barrier of Hogwarts like a meteor. In an instant, a blazing flame ignited in the air, and the entire protective barrier was burned countless holes by the flames. The hole continued to spread on the defensive barrier, expanding and connecting into a hole, and in the end, the entire barrier disappeared. In this way, the barrier that protects Hogwarts no longer exists. Rita Skeeter looked at everything in front of her with fear, and Voldemort once again showed her powerful strength to the world. This blow completely dispelled the doubts in Mutu and Count Dracula's hearts. The Dark Lord only seemed a bit mentally weak, and his strength did not weaken at all. Without the protection of the barrier, Mutu and Count Dracula, as well as giants and goblins, began to launch a frenzy of attacks on Hogwarts. They thought that without the barrier, Hogwarts would be like fish and meat on the chopping board to be slaughtered, but they were wrong. Countless stone warriors dressed in heavy armor rushed out with neat steps. Joined forces with werewolves and vampires. Faced with these stone warriors, vampires can be said to be completely at a disadvantage. Their teeth cannot cause any damage to the stone statues, and ordinary weapons are useless against the hard armor of the stone statues. Vampires have no chance of winning in front of giant stone warriors. Werewolves are relatively better, but the battle is also very difficult. The stone warriors have no pain and can only cut off all their hands and feet or completely crush their bodies, otherwise they will not be able to stop the stone warriors from attacking. Quickly, the vanguard composed of werewolves and vampires suffered heavy setbacks, and Goblin faced the same problem. A stone warrior could easily kill dozens of goblin soldiers without harming himself. In this way, the situation is quite unfavorable for Voldemort. Faced with this army of stone statues who only know how to attack but not how to defend, werewolves, vampires, and goblins are clearly not opponents. At this moment, the Frost Giant, who was standing in the rear, waved his battle flag and led the tall and strong mountain giant to charge towards Hogwarts regardless of anything. All vampires, werewolves, and Death Eaters who couldn't escape in time were either trampled into meat patties or their brains were shattered by the giant sticks they swung in their hands. These mountain giants are brave and fearless, only able to obey the commands of their leaders. The giants are indeed very powerful, and their weapons have been upgraded and eliminated, turning into iron bars or wolf fangs. They can sweep past and instantly break several stone warriors into pieces. This terrifying force has become the undisputed leader in the army of terror. The stone warriors are not as tall as the giants, but they are endowed with the ability to cooperate. Several stone warriors raise their stone shields in their hands to block the giants' attack, while the other stone warriors hide under the stone shields, waving their sharp spears to stab the giant's thigh together. The giant and the stone warriors are different, they are conscious. The intense pain caused the giant to fall down in a roar. He also crushed many vampires and Death Eaters behind him. The battle was extremely brutal, and Rita Skeeter could no longer have the courage to watch the battle. Corpses and fragments were flying everywhere, and the originally peaceful and harmonious Hogwarts was on the verge of collapse in the flames of war. Countless exquisite statues were smashed to pieces, and beautiful buildings were destroyed. But Voldemort and Augustus are still standing in place. It's not yet time for a king-to-king relationship. Hogwarts teachers and members of the Augustan army, led by Hermione, are all guarding the gates of Hogwarts. Once the Black Lord's terrifying army breaks through the defenses of the Stone Warriors, it is their turn to charge forward and fight to the death. The terrifying army did not have a significant advantage in front of the Stone Warriors, but their numbers were too large, especially in goblins. They were like locusts, endless, and after losing their defense barrier, the Death Eaters turned into smoke and began attacking Hogwarts. Quickly, they clashed with the army of Augustus. These Death Eaters did not expect that the underage students in the school would have such strong combat skills. They were familiar with various magic, causing countless Death Eaters to be beaten or petrified. This surprised even the teachers of the academy. They did not expect Augustus to have such high abilities to train a group of powerful young wizards in a short period of time. The battle has now reached an intense level, with a large army of Hogwarts outer stone warriors and werewolves, vampires, giants, and goblins engaged in fierce battles. The professors and members of the Augustan army in the castle are bravely fighting against the Death Eaters, and the entire area is engulfed in flames of war. Augustus watched everything quietly, silently waiting for the opportunity to take action. "Master, shouldn't we go up now?" Lucius took a step forward and said to Voldemort. Voldemort whispered in agreement, his body slowly rising and suspended in mid-air. Rita Skeeter looked at Voldemort in the air, her heart beating violently. She knew that Voldemort's attack represented a larger scale of destruction and terrifying destruction. Voldemort's wand emitted a scorching flame, charging straight towards the stone warrior, and the flames transformed into countless giant snakes weaving through the stone warrior. Werewolves and vampires all avoided each other, knowing that if touched by this flame, it would instantly turn into nothing. Flame is indeed the most powerful and primitive weapon in the world. In the blazing flames, the bodies of the stone warriors shattered and even melted. All the people in Hogwarts witnessed all of this, and they were all shocked. The army of stones that they had been able to rely on was instantly burned into a pile of rubble by Voldemort. No wonder even a great wizard like Dumbledore would be killed by Voldemort. Seeing that all the stone warriors had been eliminated, the Dark Legion let out thunderous cheers, so that they could charge into Hogwarts and slaughter wildly, which was their goal. The Death Eaters in the castle saw this scene and their morale was boosted. Soon, their reinforcements would attack the city. Seeing Hogwarts about to fall. Chapter 1046. Coming to Magic Town, seeking automatic subscription. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As Augustus said, everyone was focused on driving the horse under their buttocks. On the path of sheep intestines, the sound of big horse hooves kept ringing, and waves of smoke and dust scattered in all directions. Soon they intervened in the second magical town they were planning to go to, and it was obvious that this magical town was slightly different from what they had imagined. They had only been to a magical town near Hogwarts before, because all the magical towns were as bustling and lively as there. But the small town in front of me appears very dilapidated, and its scale is not very large. Augustus sighed. It seems that it's not easy to buy a great wand, so you can only buy one randomly for temporary use. The situation before him also surprised Augustus greatly, but he could only comfort Augustus. Don't lose heart, it's not easy to encounter a magical town. Let's go and see the situation first. I think even if the situation gets worse, there will definitely be a wand you can use. The town where Augustus and his companions used to buy wands or potions can be said to be very prosperous. But now they felt very lonely and desolate, walking towards the inside with thick red and yellow fallen leaves. However, as soon as they reached the entrance, the horses let out a sound of blindness, indicating that they were very unhappy with the atmosphere here. Augustus patted the horse he was leading. It seems that we are not suitable to bring them in. Christine hesitated a bit. What should we do then? We bought it with money. Isn't it a pity to tie them up outside like this? I think someone else will definitely steal them. Augustus doesn't think so. What are we afraid of? After we enter the magical town and purchase what we need, we regain our magical abilities and will be flying, even though we won't need horses. After listening to his words, everyone felt very reasonable again, and it was only then that Augustus realized that he had done something foolish before. He threw the night pearl, which belonged to their common property, to the owner of the horse. If his friends went in and selected too many things, he might not be able to help them pay. Regardless of how you look at the desolate appearance of this magical town, there may not be anything good that can impress Augustus and his team. Then let's go ahead and talk about it first. So they found several trees, tied their horses to them, and then walked towards the magical town. This magical town is completely different from Augustus' original magical town, as it was impossible to see inside from the outside. But there is a hidden door that can directly enter the magical town, so ordinary people cannot peek into the world of magic. But the magical town in front of them was very special, as if there was a mirror in front of them, looking at the desolate scene inside. Christine is very curious. Isn't the magic town supposed to be both mysterious and solemn? What's the situation now? Can ordinary people even pass by here and see that it's a magic town? Augustus did indeed smile. Are you talking about muggles? Muggles don't believe in the existence of magic in this world. They will only come here, it's just a backward village. Yes, Augustus, what you said makes some sense. As they spoke, the three of them walked towards the magical town, but as soon as they stepped over this layer, which looked misty and still like their homeland, they seemed to have arrived in another world. Augustus, it seems that we all misread this place before. It's simply too beautiful here. Augustus also showed an excited expression. I believe I can definitely choose my favorite wand here, and Augustus will quickly follow in our footsteps. Augustus shook his head helplessly, preferring this to be a rundown magical town rather than such a luxurious one. After all, he is now a penniless wizard. What can he buy here? Wait a moment, I don't know how Augustus will complain to him. It has to be said that this place is really luxurious, and there is even a bar. It seems like there is still a cinema over there, it's really special. But none of this attracted Augustus, who was completely focused on searching for a magic shop and urgently needed a wand. Without a wand by his side, he seemed to have no sense of security, and Augustus wanted him to wait and tell him about his current situation. But the other three people seemed very anxious, and none of them stopped to listen to him speak. I finally saw a magic shop, but it seems to be even larger compared to other shops. Just the plaque hanging outside the door gives a feeling of spaciousness and generosity, and the golden characters on the plaque also exude a magical power. The three of them eagerly stepped out of their legs and wanted to push the door in, but Augustus stood still outside the door. "Augustus, what's wrong with you? You've been hesitating all the way, why are you still standing there? The three of us are all ready to buy wands. Friends, I have something to tell you." "Augustus, I don't care what you have, can we just wait until we finish buying the wand?" Augustus shook his head, but by this time Abramovich was already a little anxious. However, Christine was more careful and came to Augustus. "Augustus has something to talk about, I see something's wrong with you." This Abuphus and Charlery also walked up to Augustus, who saw that he could no longer conceal it. "I'm not against you going to the magic store to buy wands, it's just that I don't have any coins." Abuphus had a bewildered expression on his face. "What else is going on? It turns out there are no gold coins, what's the point? We still have a night pearl that Lakana gave us, don't we? That thing is priceless. Are you worried that the boss here doesn't recognize the goods?" "Don't worry, I'm here. Even if the boss here doesn't recognize the goods, we can still exchange it for gold coins before buying the wand. Don't hesitate, go take a look first." Augustus wanted to continue explaining, but it was clear that Abuphus had not given him a chance. He had already been the first to step into the door of the magic shop. Stepping into the door, a parrot was already speaking. "Welcome to the magic shop, which is the most luxurious magic shop in Daily State." Chapter 1. Augustus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the winter of 1979, London. Pure white snowflakes silently fell from the sky, and the streets of Grimaud Square were already covered in thick snow. The surrounding houses have gloomy facades, with a look of being far away from people. Some of the windows in some houses are broken, shining dimly under the street lights, many doors have peeling paint, and a few households have garbage piled up outside the front steps. The rumbling sound of the stereo system could be faintly heard from the upstairs window of a house recently, bringing a little noise to the silence. With a bang, a tall and thin figure fell into the snow out of nowhere, with no footprints around, only a sunken pit. This is a pale-faced man with black jade-like hair and trembling cold gray pupils. He ran his slender fingers across the cheek of the baby in his arms and sighed. "Regulus also betrayed me, but I still need the loyalty of the Black family, Augustus. I take you as my godson and hope that the Black family will not betray my trust again." His sighs carried a chill. At this moment, something even more bizarre happened. The wall between number 11 and number 1 of Grimaud Square was like pulling out plants from the end, pulling out an ancient mansion sandwiched in the middle, number 1 Grimaud Square. The pale and cold man strode towards the doorstep, standing in front of a door covered in scratches and black paint. He drew a yuan from his cloak and waved it at the coiled snake-shaped door handle. The ancient door creaked open, covered in black paint and dust. The peeling wallpaper on the wall and the old and dirty carpet made him frown. The man walked into the mansion with the baby in his arms, and the door behind him tightly closed. A huge portrait of Mrs. Walgab Black on the hallway wall was awakened, and she let out a scream of terror, which made the man's eyebrows furrow even tighter. At this moment, Mrs. Black's portrait also calmed down. Dar Lord. She was blocked under two hanging black velvet curtains, which were already covered with insect eyes. The voice of the portrait was urgent and there was a hint of anticipation. "What about Egwin and Regulus? Why don't they both come to see me? Egwin is dead, there are too many horrors, and the chaotic spell has created an explosion." The man's narrow eyes were cold and his tone was flat, before becoming fierce. "And Regulus, he betrayed me. Regulus. Will he also betray the glory of pure blood? I will remove him from the family. Remove him." Mrs. Black felt as if she had been slapped in the face, her eyes dribbling and turning abnormal again, starting to scream mournfully. "Egwin is also dead. Black is no longer human. The oldest and noblest Black family is gone. Calm down, Walgab, I have brought Augustus." The pale man looked at the sleeping baby's face in swaddling clothes and said, Augustus Black, he is the child of Egvin and Diana, and he will inherit Blake's glory. Black's mansion fell silent for a second. In the other awakened portraits, the probing movements of Blake's ancestors throughout history were all deadlocked at that moment. What are you talking about? Mrs. Black stopped screaming, her mouth/chin incredulously wide open, forgetting to close. She looked at the baby in the man's arms, her expression gradually calmed down, and her eyes gradually became gentle. Is this Egvin's child? Yes, he is also my godson, the man said calmly. If it weren't for his self-talk just now, everyone would have felt that he genuinely cared for this child. Oh. Mrs. Black was obviously a bit overstimulated. She thought the Black family could no longer be passed down, but now there is new hope, and the ups and downs have made her forget how to speak. At this moment, Phineas Nigel S. Black, who had just returned from visiting the portrait of Hogwarts, spoke, and the most unpopular principal in Hogwarts history squeezed into Mrs. Black's frame. To be frank, Darklold, is this child's mother Diana? We never thought Diana was pure blood, and we have never heard of a pure blood surname called Hayworth. Our Black family has been pure-blooded for generations, and our Black family motto is always pure. When it comes to the inheritance of the Black family's bloodline, the old principal appears very cautious, and the portraits around him also look nervous. The situation is not as serious as you think, Mr. Black, said the indifferent man calmly. Haynes is not Diana's real surname, she is the last descendant of the Salas family. The man waved his wand while talking, causing a huge change in the entire abandoned house. Soon, the Black family's mansion regained its charm. The powerful magic allows ordinary spells such as clean up and repair as before, to show astonishing effects. The disturbed magical creatures quickly fled, and such a clean and bright place was no longer suitable for them to live in. A few fox charmers ran out of the curtains and were immediately disappeared without a trace. Opening the luxurious velvet curtains, Mrs. Black's life-sized portrait reappeared in light, wearing a black hat and dull skin. The old principal, who was crowded with her in the same portrait, was very happy. That cursed family Sulla. This is really amazing. I believe this child will recreate the glory of the Black family. Augustus. This is really a good name. Cleesh. Cleesh, where have you been hiding? Mrs. Black was also excited, calling Cleesh's name and waiting for the old house elf to respond to her. A household elf with a dirty and tattered cloth wrapped around his waist appeared in the hallway with a loud bang, holding a broken broom. His appearance is very old, and his skin seems to be several times more than what his body actually needs. Although his head was as bald as all domestic elves, there were piles of white hair growing out of those two bat-like big ears. Cleesh heard the voice of the hostess. Oh, there are also distinguished guests. May I ask for any instructions? He bent down deeply and bowed, his blood-filled eyes watery and gray. The man handed the baby into its hand. Cleesh, this is Agwin's child Augustus, take care of him. The young master of Augustus is really beautiful. He has the most noble bloodline of the Black family, just like young Master Egvin. Klitcher carefully hugged the baby and whispered in admiration. For him, the inheritance of the Black family is the most important, and the Black family's bloodline is the most noble. Dear guest, please rest assured. Klitcher will definitely take good care of young Master Augustus. Klitcher gently carried the baby up to the second floor and placed him in the newly renovated luxurious bedroom, returning to continue listening to the hostess's instructions. After another explanation, the cold-hearted man had something to go back to. He ended his conversation with the portraits of the Black family, pushed open the door of the Black ancestral house, and disappeared into the ice and snow. Hope everyone can comment more and give some opinions, thank you. Chapter 2. Blood Transformation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Klitcher settled the child and left, he suddenly opened his eyes, and a hint of confusion and regret flashed through his pitch-black pupils. What a mess! Feeling the frailty of this body and the fatigue emanating from deep within the soul, Wongo couldn't help but self-deprecate. He was originally a traveler who traveled to the world of Hokage and became the genius of the Uchiha family, Uchiha Itachi. Under the stunning talent and the consciousness of the traveler, Wongo showed a completely incredible growth rate and was once hailed as the reincarnation of Uchiha. Due to the irreversibility of the original work, Wongo undoubtedly personally staged the extermination drama, and later joined the Shao organization. After a journey, his strength reached the pinnacle of film level. Afterwards, without any mercy, he took Sasuke's kaleidoscope and opened the eternal kaleidoscope. The original plan was to take over Daitu, take over the Shao organization, and unify the ninja realm to climb to the top of the Fong. However, in the final battle with Daitu and Black Jew conspired to assassinate him and exiled him to the chaos of space. The extremely dangerous spatial turbulence almost shattered Wan Ji's body in an instant. Fortunately, he awakened a special ability after opening the eternal kaleidoscope, which allowed him to hold on to a pair of eternal kaleidoscopes and attach his soul to the outer space of the kaleidoscope. Finally, in a state of urgency, he entered this world and became attached to this little boy. Feeling that the aura of the Black Demon King had drifted away, Wongo finally breathed a sigh of relief. Although he was confident that he could hang the Black Demon King during his heyday, now the Black Demon King can destroy him with just a little finger, which is why he tried his best to conceal his soul fluctuations. Now the danger has finally passed. The world of Harry Potter is also good, at least not as dangerous as the world of Hokage. After thinking for a moment, Wongo relaxed. After all, he still likes a comfortable life. Although he hopes to stand at the highest point of Shan Peak in his bones, like the world of Hokage, he is constantly tense and facing this life of slaughter every day, which does make him a bit tired. By contrast, the world of Harry Potter seems to be much better. On the one hand, he can achieve the glory that the Hokage world has not yet achieved in this world. On the other hand, this world has entered modernization, and with the various magical aspects, it can fully meet his requirements for enjoying life. Since that's the case, let's call it Augustus in the future, and I will climb to the top with this name. Although there are the Dark Lord and the Death Eaters, Augustus, who has watched the Harry Potter movies, seems to be just playing around. Moreover, Augustus is no longer the same little boy as before, but a genius of the adventurer and the Uchiha family. On the noble velvet bed, Augustus opened his pitch-black eyes and a crimson light flashed through. We can almost merge now. As the greatest reliance of the Hokage world, the eternal kaleidoscope has been deeply imprinted in the soul of Wanga. Therefore, when Augustus fully grasps this body, the first thing to do is to integrate the eternal kaleidoscope. This is not only a recognition of these eyes, but also a guarantee for him to stand firm and reach the pinnacle in this world. With the surging spiritual power, a black crack appeared around Augustus's young body. A pair of crimson kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes slowly floated out. Looking at these eyes, Augustus was filled with emotion. With his current frail body, he cannot withstand the powerful pupils of the kaleidoscope, so he can only do it in a different way. This approach is also currently the most reliable method. I saw the eternal kaleidoscope gradually twist under the control of Augustus, and then suddenly transform into a blood-red energy, gradually merging into my body. This blood-red energy contains the powerful pupil power of the eternal kaleidoscope, as well as the perfect Uchiha family bloodline. Feeling the pain emanating from all over his body, Augustus frowned, but the strong endurance he had developed in the world of Hokage prevented him from making any sound. If it were an ordinary person, he would have already fainted from the pain. Half an hour later, the bloodline transformation was finally completed, and there is no doubt that by this time, Augustus had completely become the authentic bloodline of the Uchiha family. Augustus opened his eyes and saw that the originally dark blue pupils gradually transformed into artistic bloodstream eyes. In the crimson pupils, a black jade slowly rotated, revealing strength and coldness. Because his body was still too weak, Augustus could only open a jade blood will eye. However, as his body strength increased, he could quickly completely free his pupils and return to the state of an eternal kaleidoscope. Yuzhibo is a descendant of the 6 immortals, and the power of bloodline greatly increases chakra and spiritual power, which is also an important reason for the emergence of Yuzhibo's talents. Previously, my body was empty except for mysterious magic, but now there is an additional blue energy. Yes, it is chakra. Feeling that the new chakra was weak but full of vitality, Augustus finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the world did not reject chakra. This means that Augustus is certainly very clear about anything, that is to say, even if he does not integrate into the wizarding system, he can still grow into the world's most powerful being with the original ninja cultivation method. Of course, Augustus did not intend to do so. In his view, the magic of this world clearly has many magical aspects, and it would be a pity not to engage in some cultivation. So after the emergence of chakra, Augustus set the next path for his strength development. Chakra is definitely going to cultivate, this is the foundation of his existence. His experience in the fire shadow world can ensure that he can quickly grow to above the level of endurance, and even restore his peak of shadow level foam in his heyday. This way, he has enough capital and heritage to do what he wants in this world. On the other hand, he also delves into the study of magic. Currently, it seems that chakra and magic are not in conflict, and there are even some similarities. One Go believes that it is only a matter of time for him to grow into a great wizard like Dumbledore with his talent. Thinking that there were not too many obstacles on the road to the future, Augustus also showed a slight smile on his face, and the depression of being ambushed by dirt and darkness gradually dissipated. Sure enough, misfortune and fortune rely on it. If you like it, please vote for some flower reviews. Thank you. Chapter 3. Letter from Hogwarts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In 1988, Blackburn House, London. The soft morning sunshine shone on the sleeping face of the boy. His eyelids struggled for a moment before reluctantly opening them. He lazily opened the wooden door in the bathroom, draped in his pajamas, with the intricate black family emblem carved on it. Oh. Good morning, my respected young Master Augustus. You are still so elegant and charming today. Enough. Augustus extended his slender finger and fiercely poked the magical mirror that was said to be an ancestral item, complaining, "You talkative mirror, close your incessant mouth. I still need to wash up." Oh. My most respected little master, please forgive me for my uncontrollable praise of you. Your slender fingers have poked into my heart. Well, today's weather is really bright and bright, I wish you a happy day. Seeing Augustus painting, "If you keep arguing, I'll give you an Avada's life," the mirror quickly stopped its daily routine of nonsense, quiet like an ordinary retro mirror in the Muggle world. It was because of its only advantage of being quite witty that it was safely preserved in the Blake mansion until now. Augustus dressed neatly and walked elegantly down the first floor. The portraits of Blake on the wall said, "Good morning, Augustus. You have maintained the etiquette of the Blake family very well." When he sat down at the dining table, Blake's most loyal servant Klitcher had already prepared everything. The little elf first generously poured coffee for his young master, gently added 2 spoons of Nyo milk, and then quickly served breakfast on the plate. After Augustus finished breakfast, he returned to the study. On the desk was an opened light yellow/colored envelope, with open letterhead lying flat next to it. The contents were as follows. Principal of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Albus Dumbledore. President of the International Federation of Witchcraft and Wizardry, President of the Wizardry Association, and first-class magician of the Merlin Order. Dear Mr. Augustus Blake. We are pleased to inform you that you have been granted permission to attend Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Please find attached a list of required books and equipment. The semester is scheduled to start on September 1st. We will be waiting for your owl to bring you a reply before July 31st. Vice Principal, female, Maliva McGonagall, greetings. Augustus squinted his eyes, his black pupils burning like flames, but his words were incredibly plain. Finally, I can see Hogwarts. Dear little Augustus, is it too old to go to Hogwarts? It's a pity that the current principal is not me. Principal Black stood up from the portrait on the wall, sighing with an extremely regretful tone, but the proud expression in his eyes was extremely obvious. Good morning, ancestor. My brain sealing technique is already quite perfect. Which college do you think I should go to? You should know that the current president is a great white wizard, it's very troublesome. Augustus wrote back in beautiful floral script and asked Mr. Black, his tone was somewhat intriguing. The words, white wizard, were filled with strong ridicule. Of course it's Slytherin. My proud descendant, I believe you can recast the glory of the Black family in Slytherin. As for Dumbledore, As the principal of Hogwarts, it's impossible to treat students well in school. Old Principal Black waved his fist and instilled in his descendants the belief that they must go to Slytherin, but when he mentioned Dumbledore, he was clearly a bit angry. There aren't many dark magic books in the Hogwarts library, are there? I don't want to keep learning those boring tricks for a year. Which ones do you think I should take to school? Augustus wrote a reply, put it in an envelope, asked Klitcher to hand it to him, and then walked to the bookshelf to think and talk to Principal Black. Principal Black was pleased to see another dark magic genius emerge in his family and began to answer Augustus' questions in great detail. As the former Hogwarts principal and also from the most famous black magic family, this black ancestor has a lot of experience in black magic. Dear Par, the power of every unforgivable curse is closely related to the power of the soul. Only when you understand how to use your own spiritual power can the unforgivable curse be perfectly executed. For example, when casting the Diamond Heart curse, you must be ruthless and have the idea of tormenting and causing pain to the other party. And the Destiny curse requires a cold heart, the more indifferent it is to life, the stronger its power becomes. As for the soul-taking curse, I can only say that you surprised me too much, Merlin. I have never seen a soul-taking curse genius like you before, you're flattering me. My soul-snatching spell is so perfect because of so many teachings from our black ancestors, said Augustus humbly. In fact, he was having a white eye in his heart. He was joking, and things like soul-seizing curse and diamond heart curse, I just played with them in the world of Hokage and flew away, okay. As for the cold heart. Are there still few people I've killed? I haven't seen any compassion in me either. However, it is important to listen carefully to the explanation of the death curse, as Augustus was very wary of such a soul attack that would kill him with one blow. It's not about relying solely on Avada's life to kill. In terms of the way of killing, Augustus can list 10,000. Even Augustus doesn't know if he can resist the next Avada's life, which makes him very unhappy. Therefore, he has an extraordinary persistence and desire to explore the curse of death. Augustus opened the bookshelf while talking to Principal Black, and pulled out a book titled Explanation of the Unforgivable Curse, from the middle shelf. After some thought, he took out another book titled, How to Become a Master of Peeping Heart. How about I bring 2 books to school? I'm also very interested in mind peeping. A strong person needs to have strong intellectual power. Dumbledore and the Dark Lord are both masters of mind peeping. Your ideas are very good, just bring 2 books. Principal Black agreed with Augustus' ideas and then thought of something, becoming disgusted. Dear little Augustus, please buy all the school supplies as soon as possible. If you're late, you'll come across those mud seeds again. I'll continue to monitor the old bee, Merlin. Even after watching it for so many years, I can't stand his bad taste. Thank you for your hard work. I have to go see that old bee eating those unbearable sweets every day. As for shopping, I will go to Diagon Alley tomorrow, and I happen to be going to Overturned Alley to buy some potion materials. Augustus nodded politely as he watched Principal Black leave, and the picture on the wall became blank again. Cleesh, help me brew a pot of black tea with 2 slices of lemon. Bring today's profits daily along. With a bang, Cleesh appeared with a large silver plate, on which were newspapers and brewed black tea. Cleesh is honored to serve you, young master. After making Cleesh step back, Augustus was drinking black tea while thinking about things. There are still 2 years left until the start of the plot, and I didn't expect to be 2 years older than Harry Potter and the others. However, it's good to have time to prepare well, and being a senior or something is also a great experience. Taking a sip of black tea, Augustus smiled slightly at the corner of his mouth, indicating that he was quite satisfied with his current life. Augustus has been in this world for 10 years, and during this time, with the foundation of the Black family, his strength has improved rapidly. Because he has all kinds of resources available, he has now recovered to the strength of the upper ninja, and the Sharingan has also evolved to the level of Sangoyu. Of course, his actual combat power is definitely not as weak as the upper ninja. With full firepower, he can probably approach the shadow level. Over the past decade, Augustus has carefully studied the wizarding system of this world, which corresponds to the level of the Hokage world, and is similar to this. Graduates who have passed the ordinary wizard level exam at Hogwarts are likely to have the ability to endure in the world of Hogwarts. Adult wizards who have passed the ultimate wizard level exam are probably at a moderate tolerance level. Professors like Hogwarts are probably at an upper tolerance level. Wizards at the level of Dark Lord and Dumbledore are probably at the shadow level. With Augustus's current strength, not to mention dominating the British wizarding world, at least self-protection is not a problem at all. I don't have to worry about strength for now, so the next step is to enjoy life. Thinking of this, Augustus's handsome face showed a charming smile, and he was still looking forward to the academic life and beautiful women in this world. If you have any questions about this book, you can leave a comment in the comments section and ask for some flowers. Thank you. Chapter 4 Wutong Wood and Phoenix Feather. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Diagon Alley, on the ground paved with goose-soft stones. Augustus walked slowly with a cane in his hand. The dark black cane had an antique style and was adorned with exquisite nightmare carvings. This is a wand set found by Augustus from the family treasury, made together with the Malfoy family's snake wand, and is a symbol of the Black family leader. It can be said that it was due to the misfortune of the Black family. Due to the influence of Sirius, his father's generation had not yet had a chance to choose the head of the family, and the Black family had already declined. This cane slowly began to stain dust on the Black ancestral home. When Augustus found this cane, he also alarmed all the portraits in the ancestral house. After discussion, the portraits unanimously agreed to hand over the cane to Augustus for use. It can be said that Augustus is now the owner of the Black family. At this moment, Augustus was very leisurely, walking slowly while looking at the noisy shops around him. He had a feeling of walking on the wooden leaf street, which made him feel both emotional and nostalgic. The Blake family is not lacking in scattered items such as crucibles and telescopes. Books can also be purchased by Klitcher, and clothes can be bought last. However, the most important thing is that every wizard must personally go there. Augustus thought as he walked to the destination of his trip. A very narrow and dilapidated storefront, with golden letters peeling off the ancient door-top sign. Ollivander has been making excellent wands since 382 BC. In the dusty storefront, a wand stood alone on a faded purple cushion. Although the appearance is not good, it is really a monopoly business, and the monopoly is arms. Augustus looked at the purple cushion with a wand in the window and gently raised his eyebrows, unable to resist a slight roast. He really couldn't understand why all the wizard shops in this world wanted to give people a feeling of being messy and outdated. They were very wealthy and could be decorated with great style, so they had to lower their status and make it so dilapidated. The most typical one is Ollivander, who sells wands. You have monopolized the wand business in the entire British wizarding world, but the store is still so rudimentary. Is it necessary? But roast belongs to roast, and the wand still needs to be bought. When he stepped into the store, a crisp ringing sound came from somewhere behind the storefront. It was a very small shop with only a dirty chair, and hundreds or even thousands of narrow boxes were almost piled up to touch the ceiling. Lingelwan's messy environment made Augustus couldn't help but frown slightly. After hesitating for a while, he finally cleaned and refurbished the chair before sitting down. "Good afternoon, Mr. Black," a soft voice said, and then an old man with silver eyes stood in front of Augustus. "Good afternoon, Mr. Ollivander. I'm here to pick up my customized wand," Augustus said politely. Ollivander sighed and took out a beautifully packaged small box from the counter. Upon opening it, there was a brand new pure black cane inside. "To be honest, Mr. Black, I still don't agree with your approach. Every wand has its owner, and if you provide materials like this to commission me to make it, you may not necessarily get a suitable wand." Augustus didn't care and gently took out his wand, caressing/touching it carefully. "How is its condition?" Seeing that Augustus didn't change his mind, Ollivander had to sigh again, and then thought of something, and became a little excited to introduce. 13 inches long, the material of wutong wood, the core of the staff is the tail feather of a black phoenix, a powerful dark force, and an excellent combination. If it weren't for your request, I would never consider this combination in my life. The power of this wand is too strong and too dark, and the material of wutong wood and the feathers of the phoenix fit almost perfectly. I have only seen one wand in my life that is stronger than its power, and I don't know whether it is a work that should be made. But there is no doubt that this is the most perfect wand I have ever made." Augustus was very satisfied with hearing this and said to Ollivander with his wand, "Mr. Ollivander, you always thought that the wand chose its owner, didn't you? But in my opinion, it's just that different people have different magic frequencies, so the wand that fits them is also different. You just need to find the material that matches your magic and make it into a wand, and then there won't be these problems." Augustus held the wutong wand and gently waved it. In a moment, countless blue streamers slanted out of the tip of the wand, intertwined in the air, and finally turned into a beautiful phoenix with a loud and clear cry. Ollivander couldn't help but shudder at the sight and exclaimed in amazement, "Oh, Merlin is up. This wand really fits you very well. It's unbelievable. Augustus, your magical control is also amazing. I believe you will do something great, just like that person. Oh, remember, don't let power lose your soul. I can handle this wand, and I can also handle any power," Augustus replied nonchalantly, then handed Jean Jalong to Ollivander, waved goodbye, and walked out of the wand shop. After leaving Ollivander, Augustus looked at the wand in his hand, emitting a mysterious aura, and a mesmerizing smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He spent a lot of time on this wand. First, the 1,000-year-old wutong wood was hard to find. Second, the tail feather of the black phoenix was a good thing that he spent a lot of savings of the black family to get. As the saying goes, phoenix does not live in wutong. Is there anything more suitable for phoenix feathers than wutong wood? I believe that after learning about this combination, Ollivander's wand business will definitely take it to the next level. As for whether it's cheaper for Ollivander, Augustus doesn't really care about this kind of thing. Let's consider it as his own contribution to the development of magic in this world. Feeling the powerful magic within his body running more smoothly under the command of the wand, Augustus was in a good mood. With this wand, his casting efficiency increased by at least 50%. I saw Augustus lightly move his right hand, and his wand slipped into his sleeve. There is a special dragon skin wand set inside, which Augustus borrowed from the ninja bag to make, ensuring that the wand appears in his hand at any time. I hope everyone can bookmark this book, thank you. Chapter 5. Phantom Shift. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Have you bought all the books you need for school, Cliche? Augustus held the nightmare wand and gently tapped the ground, calling for the appearance of the little elf Klitsch. Bang! Klitsch appeared holding a stack of magic books that were even taller than himself. He first held the stack high and forced a bow, then respectfully replied, "Your esteemed young master Par, you have already purchased all the books according to your order. In addition, you have also bought the invisible book of invisibility that you instructed." Klitsch followed your instructions and put it into the dragon skin bookcase. "Great, Klitsch. First, take these things back to your ancestral home and then wait for me at the Majin clothing store. I'm happy to help you." Klitsch disappeared with a loud bang as he hugged a large stack of books. As he watched the disappearance of the domestic elf Klitsch, the black color in Augustus's eyes became even more profound. The magic used by domestic elves is phantom shift, a relatively advanced form of magic. Saying advanced is not actually considered advanced, because basically every adult wizard knows it. This means that phantom shapeshifting is not difficult for wizards to learn. Augustus can be said to be shocked when he first came into contact with the phantom movement, because this kind of magic is almost the same as the space art of the Fire Shadow world, even more advanced, because there is no too much restriction on the phantom movement. During his time in the world of Hokage, Augustus did not learn space magic for various reasons. Therefore, when he discovered that the use of illusion and shape-shifting through magic would be very simple, he could be said to be ecstatic. Space technique is something that every ninja dreams of. Since that day, Augustus has never ceased his research on illusion and shape-shifting magic. So far, Augustus dares to say that his expertise in space magic is almost non-existent in the entire British wizarding world. It is precisely because of this that Augustus discovered that many things that chakras find difficult to do can be easily achieved by magic. And what magic is difficult to achieve, chakra may easily accomplish. For example, spatial techniques like phantom shift are difficult for chakra to achieve, while magic can be easily accomplished. For example, walking on water and condensing elemental attacks can be difficult with magic, while chakra appears effortless, and so on. After possessing two energy systems, Augustus clearly became much more comprehensive in battle. Chakra can enhance oneself, and magic can better influence the outside world. Chakra and magic to some extent compensate for their respective shortcomings. A few years ago, Wangu even had the idea of integrating magic with chakra, but for various reasons, this idea has not been realized. Seeing Klitsch's relaxed phantom transformation today will certainly trigger some thoughts. It seems like we can try again after going to Hogwarts. Augustus couldn't help but feel that the chakra and magic inside his body were distinct but not in conflict. But before that, let's settle the trivial matters of enrollment first. Remembering that there was still something to purchase, Augustus picked up his black cane and continued walking forward for a while. Then, he stopped in front of a bustling store and gently pushed the door in. Madame Morkin is a short, chubby witch with a smiling face, dressed in light purple clothes. As soon as Augustus entered the store, he heard her affectionately ask, "Do you want to buy a uniform from Hogwarts School, dear Mr. Black?" "Yes, Mrs. Morkin. Although my clothes have always been custom-made, it's rare for me to come to Diagon Alley. I think it would be better to visit you. You can also easily solve any clothing problems. You know, the taste of clothes in your store has always been very good." Augustus nodded lightly and politely replied. Listening to Augustus's words, the Mo-Jean woman's eyes narrowed with a smile. "Mr. Black, you are really good at talking. We have a lot of clothes here, and we will definitely satisfy you. Let's first get your school uniform ready. There is a girl inside trying on clothes now. There is a lovely girl with long brown curly hair standing on a footstool behind the shop, and a witch is using a safety pin to pick up her black robe." Madame Morkin personally brought Augustus over and asked him to stand on another footstool next to the girl. She put on a robe for him and pinned it to fit his body length. Looking at the beautiful girl and her long brown curly hair in front of him, and thinking about the time now, a name suddenly appeared in Augustus' mind. This girl's character and talent were both good, and it was worth his effort. "Are you a freshman at Hogwarts?" Augustus asked with a faint smile. "Yes, yes." Being stared at by Augustus' deep eyes, coupled with his aristocratic demeanor, made the girl who had just entered the wizarding world nervous and blushed inexplicably. "Beautiful lady, my name is Augustus Black, and I am also a freshman in first grade. It's nice to meet a beautiful girl like you. We will be classmates in the future. My name is Penelope Cravat, nice to meet you." Penelope didn't dare to look directly into Augustus' eyes and introduced himself softly. "Oh, that's a nice name. Can I call you Penelope?" Augustus smiled nervously as he saw the other person's nervous expression. After obtaining permission to call him by his Christian name, he continued, "Penelope, it seems like you're new to the wizarding world. Don't be so nervous, we're friends now. If you have any questions, you can ask me, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Is that right?" Penelope, who was originally a bit nervous, looked at Augustus with a much softer gaze and immediately began to ask Augustus about the knowledge of the wizarding world. Augustus is the oldest member of the Black family, and answering Penelope's question from a Muggle background was too easy. With these words, Penelope's eyes lit up until Madame Morkin said, "I've already tried it, dear." Augustus jumped off the footstool and waved to Penelope, saying, "Goodbye to Hogwarts then." Then politely bid farewell to Madame Morkin. Looking at the figure of Augustus leaving, Penelope felt somewhat disappointed. After all, the other person was his first friend since entering the wizarding world, and he had helped him answer so many questions. The little girl still had a good impression in her heart. She then asked the witch beside her, "Are all the boys in the wizarding world so outstanding? I feel that Augustus is like a medieval aristocrat. There are no nobles in the wizarding world, but the identity of the one just now was quite special. The Black family can be considered the oldest family in the wizarding world, and as for the rest, I think you will know in the future." The witch answered softly with a kind smile, "All right, dear, you've tried it too. In the new book period, I hope readers can collect some and add some flowers. Thank you." Chapter 6. Pets and High Dongqing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After bidding farewell to Penelope, Augustus left Madame Morkin's shop and remembered that there were still things he hadn't bought. Entering Hogwarts without a messenger owl is clearly not possible. Although the Blake family has several dedicated owls, Augustus always thinks they are too foolish. This time, we came to Diagon Alley for a big purchase and happened to be on a stroll. Augustus found a relatively famous pet shop called the Ira Pet Shop. Upon entering, he found that the old-looking Ira Magic Pet Shop looked very tidy, with bright lighting that made people feel comfortable. There was no odor in the shop, but instead a fresh fragrance. All types of pets stayed safely in their activity areas, and occasionally the sounds of some pets were heard, but they were not noisy at all. As soon as Augustus entered the door, someone greeted him politely and asked, "Hello sir, welcome to the Ira Magic Pet Shop. I am Ira, the owner here." A beautiful red-haired witch walked over with a smile on her face. Although she appeared to be in her 30s, she was still beautiful and charming. Augustus looked around and said, "I need a gentle and beautiful pet and a messenger eagle." The beautiful Mrs. Ira, seeing Augustus dressed in simple yet noble attire, exuding a noble demeanor in her speech and behavior, quickly guessed that she was a prince from a pure-blood family, and her smile on her face was even more charming. "Okay, just a moment." After understanding Augustus' requirements, Ira quickly carried 2 cages to Augustus. "As per your request, this is a Persian-blooded kitten with some kind of magical creature's bloodline, very beautiful, and can also perform simple transformation spells." Ira held the cage in her left hand and lifted it slightly, allowing Augustus to see the pets inside the cage clearly. Without Erado's words, Augustus had already observed this kitten. This is a black kitten, but its 4 paws are pure white. Its long hair appears to be of Persian cat ancestry, and its pupils are light purple. It looks agile and gentle, which satisfies Augustus. "Great, that's it. Seeing the noble young master satisfied, Ira smiled on her face and then lifted the cage she was holding in her left hand. Augustus looked over and suddenly his eyes lit up, but he didn't speak. Seeing Augustus's questioning gaze, Ira spoke up and said, "I'm sorry, sir. I don't know what bloodline this beautiful eagle is, but without a doubt, it's powerful and intelligent, just a bit aloof. I bought it from a traveler, and I think it suits your temperament very well. If you can tame it, I think it would be a good thing." Augustus's eyes flickered with a ripple, and the landlady did not know the origin of this eagle, but he did. A very distant memory. When Augustus had not yet traveled to the world of Hokage, he was fascinated by eagles and had consulted many information about them. The eagle that fascinated him the most was undoubtedly the one in front of him. It has a noble and proud name. Dongqing. Dongqing is the highest totem of the Sushen tribe. The Chinese name Zhiying, also known as Xiankulu in the Sushen language, means the highest and fastest bird in the world, and has the meaning of the god of thousands of eagles. Legend has it that only 100,000 divine eagles produce one Dongqing, which is the highest totem of the Chinese Sushen tribe. Represented by the spirit of bravery, wisdom, perseverance, integrity, strength, pioneering, enterprising, always striving upwards, and never giving up. Without a doubt, it is the uncrowned king among eagles. Seeing Ira's hopeful gaze, Augustus smiled a little. "Not bad, I really like it." Looking at Augustus with his handsome and charming smile, Ira had to admit that this young man was the most handsome boy she had ever seen, and this smile was hard for her to forget. "Oh, of course I would love you to be its owner, but I have to say, it's really proud that we haven't tamed it." The landlady only said half of it, but Augustus didn't know what she was going to say next. He reached out and stopped her, then said to Dongqing in the cage. "I have indeed wronged you. A cage should not be your constraint." After speaking, with a gentle wave towards the cage, the specially designed magical bird cage unexpectedly opened. Ira was surprised, but she knew how fierce this seemingly motionless divine handsome white eagle was. However, what surprised her even more was that the eagle, which had once caused her a headache, seemed to understand the young man across from her and stared at him for a long time. Even if the cage was opened, it did not immediately fly away. Seeing the proud Dongqing looking fearlessly at him, Augustus smiled happily. Seeing the unmoved expression of Dongqing, Augustus curled his lips. His originally dark and profound eyes gradually changed, and Sangoyu gradually appeared in his eyes, turning slightly. A powerful aura filled the entire pet shop. "Do you want to continue to humiliate yourself and stay in the cage? Follow me." After speaking, he extended his arm. Animals are often more sensitive to danger than humans. This Dongqing felt the trembling breath and then looked around at the cage that made it hate. After hesitating for a long time, it finally flapped its wings and landed on Augustus's arm. As for the boss's wife Ira, she was already standing on the side in a daze, obviously confused by the illusion of the Sharingan. Augustus did not want his Sharingan to be exposed so early, so he released a small illusion on her. His illusions, after drawing inspiration from the world's magic spells such as the Forgotten Curse and the Enchanting Curse, have reached a state of ecstasy, and this small illusion is not at all difficult. After the Sharingan disappeared, Augustus said to the landlady, "Ira." With this shout, Eladon suddenly regained consciousness and looked at Dongqing, who was already standing on Augustus's arm, with his mouth wide open. "Oh, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Oh my goodness, you really tamed him. It's really amazing." "It's nothing." Augustus Fu touched Dongqing's wings and scratched the kitten's chin, then replied. "I am very satisfied with these two pets. How much does it cost in total?" Being able to buy these two pets that satisfied him, Augustus was in a good mood and didn't plan to stroll any further. He asked Ira. "A total of 70 hardware crowns." Upon hearing this, Augustus directly took out 70 metal crowns from the folding strap, and then left with the kitten and Dongqing. Watching the elegant figure of Augustus Tingba leave, Ira was slightly lost in thought. It can be said that buying 2 pets for 70 metal gallons is a bit outrageous. Of course, Ira didn't ask for them randomly. These 2 pets are indeed worth this price, and Persian cats who can transform are not common. She also spent a lot of money to buy the eagle of the divine steed. An ordinary owl only has a few gold gallons, and most people are reluctant to buy them, but the boy pulled out 75 gold gerons, which was as simple as drinking water. Recalling the young man's effortless unlocking of the magical cage without a cane just now, Ira's astonishment couldn't help but intensify. I really don't know whose family's boy he is so outstanding. Not to mention Ira's thoughts, Augustus had already directly transformed back into the Blake mansion, lying on the soft sofa teasing the kitten in his hand. I'll call you Shiriel in the future. After playing with the kitten for a while, Augustus thought for a moment and said, "The kitten has the bloodline of magical creatures and is very human-like." It probably understood Augustus's words and let out a gentle meow. And Dongqing, by now, had already been released by Augustus and locked up for quite some time. Augustus also knew that it had been suffocated, so he let it go out and fly happily for a while. As for whether Dongqing will not return, Augustus was not worried at all. Animals are often much more loyal than humans after surrendering, especially proud creatures like Dongqing. Chapter 7. Platinum Family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On September 1st, at King's Cross Station, Hogwarts Express. Augustus effortlessly walked through the crowded crowd and boarded the Hogwarts Express with a black cane. Except for a compartment in the front for the use of Hogwarts class leaders, the other carriages of the train can enter and exit freely. There are no aristocratic or executive carriages as seen in previous lives, but it is an unwritten rule for senior students to sit in the front carriage. The aisle of the train was a bit noisy, with students walking back and forth from time to time. Augustus saw several boys running around foolishly, playing with each other. He thought those children must be Gryffindor or Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin who wouldn't affect others like this. To be honest, he hates this childish and noisy place a bit. In order not to be disturbed, he didn't make any further stops in the hallway and went straight to an empty carriage. After sitting down, he waved his right hand and cast a soundproof spell. Finally cleared up. Despite the noise inside the train, Augustus' furrowed brow finally eased slightly. He originally wanted to look for Penelope, but the current situation inside the train dispelled his idea. Let's read quietly for a while. As for Augustus' luggage, he used a shrinking spell to put it in his pocket. When it comes to the shrinking curse, Augustus couldn't help but exclaim that there are indeed many unique aspects of magic in this world, especially in terms of life, where magic has been integrated into the lives of wizards. Things like the shrinking curse, space folding curse, flying powder, and so on, all make the life of wizards much more convenient. At least Augustus enjoyed the convenience brought by this magic. In contrast, most ninjas use chakras for combat and have little impact on their daily lives. Not to mention these, Augustus was already half lying on his soft sleeper, having somehow transformed into a spell. He flipped over to the bookmark and saw the words "Rune and Alchemy" written on the sheepskin cover. That's right, Augustus has been obsessed with alchemy recently. As for why, I think most of the magic that needs to be learned has already been learned, and alchemy does have many attractive aspects, such as the magic stone that can make people immortal. After reading for a long time, I found it boring. Just when Augustus felt a bit bored, he only heard a knocking at the door. Although Augustus didn't want to be disturbed, he did feel a bit bored now, and it would be great if someone came to chat. "Come in." "Excuse me, is there anyone else here?" The carriage door opened and a boy pointed to the empty seat across from Augustus, asking. Seeing Augustus' extraordinary temperament, he added an explanation, "The other places are all full." Augustus shook his head to indicate that there was no one around. The boy walked in, followed by a girl. The two of them were dressed beautifully and their behavior was also very appropriate, indicating that they had a good family background and extremely high upbringing. Augustus glanced at it and continued flipping through the Rune and Alchemy in his hand, feeling bored. He didn't like to initiate conversations. After the two of them sat down opposite Augustus, the train had already departed. Augustus sat by the window, watching the scenery speeding past, the overlapping mountains and forests, thinking whether or not to find something to do. Just as he was thinking about what to do, a girl's voice rang from across the street. "Hi, hello. May I borrow a book from you? It's really boring on the train." The girl's voice was very pleasant, and Augustus smiled slightly upon hearing this. He handed her the book in his hand. "Thank you, my name is Alice Mellon and his name is Horn Norris. You can call us Alice and Horn, and I think we will be companions." Alice took the book with an elegant smile and introduced herself first. "Excuse me for taking the liberty, you look a bit unfamiliar." Alice attends gatherings of pure-blooded families every year, but she has no impression of the boy in front of her. However, there is no doubt that whether it is his noble temperament or the nightmare cane that resembles the Malfoy family, it all indicates the boy's background. "Nice to meet you, I believe we haven't met before." Augustus raised his eyebrows and politely replied, "My name is Augustus Black, you can call me Black." In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Augustus previously sealed off the news that the Black family still had someone to inherit, and his existence was only known to the Malfoy family and a few pure-blooded families that could be kept confidential. Except for those recognized by oneself or pure-blooded families of equal status, no one else is qualified to call him by his Christian name directly. And these two people in front of me are obviously just ordinary pure-blood families. "Oh, Merlin is up. It's actually Black." Alice and Horn certainly know what Black means. It's the ancient and noble Black family, the first Black magic family. "Please forgive our irrationality, Lord Black," Alice said respectfully, and then she and Horn sat quietly, not daring to make any sound, afraid of disturbing Augustus. Although they had not heard of any descendants of the Black family, names cannot deceive people, and the names of wizards themselves have powerful magic. Pure-blood families will have their own methods to identify the authenticity of a name, and if it is a pseudonym, they can easily detect it. Before figuring out the preferences of Mr. Black, they got along well in the most polite way, because that's definitely not wrong. They are all small families, offending a Black is a great disaster. You should know that the Black families and laws are the purebred aristocratic families scattered throughout the wizarding world. Seeing this, Augustus pouted helplessly. "Now it's even more boring." "Okay, helplessly." Augustus could only initiate a conversation, otherwise these two little ones probably wouldn't dare to speak. "Alice and Horn, what do you think of Demstrong in Germany compared to Hogwarts in the UK?" "Dear Lord Black, we actually think Demstrong's black magic course is very good, but Slytherin is the foundation of our pure blood in the UK. And only by coming to Slytherin can we meet someone as big as you," Alice answered cautiously. "Yes, sir. We also learned some simple black magic at home. If you have anything to do at school, you can instruct us to do it." Both of them are very intelligent and can understand the meaning in Augustus language. This is a test of how they view black magic and pure blood in England. Augustus was speechless. He really just wanted to chat, but he didn't expect to take in a younger brother directly. As for this beautiful pure blood girl, she can relieve boredom when she's bored. They all expressed it this way, and Augustus couldn't refuse either. He said, "Since that's the case, I believe your knowledge of black magic in Slytherin will be richer than Demstrong's. Thank you for your guidance, Lord Black. It's our honor to stand behind the prestigious Platinum family." Alice's smile lit up, and Horn happily agreed. They have made a decision to enter Slytherin without any accidents. "The Black family won't disappoint you, you can call me Augustus." Augustus gently waved his black cane, and a book titled The Essence of Black Magic and a book titled Explanation of Black Magic suddenly appeared in front of them, both of which were books in the Blake family's collection with notes and annotations. There is still some time on the way, you can take a look at these 2 books to relieve fatigue. Alice took the book and sweetly thanked her. Meanwhile, Horn on one side was already too happy to say anything. These 2 books were not something that ordinary people could come into contact with. From the perspective of a pure-blooded family member, they were definitely something that every wizard would dream of. After flipping through the rune mysteries and alchemy borrowed from Augustus at the beginning, Alice quickly returned it with embarrassment because she realized she couldn't understand anything and the whole book was written in ancient magic script. This also made Alice look at Augustus with even more admiration in her eyes. It was obvious that Augustus, with his handsome face, noble status, and profound knowledge, was deeply attracted to her. The most despicable thing is that Augustus found the journey boring and kept chatting with her, which made Alice blush and her little dear stumble and sink deeper unconsciously throughout the journey.